One man wrote to over 525 women while imprisoned for murder. His name was Keith Hunter Jesperson, a man whose crimes were as chilling as his correspondence. He wasn't seeking forgiveness, nor was he pleading for understanding. Instead, he sought to captivate and manipulate, using his letters as a twisted form of entertainment. He was reveling in his horrific acts, boasting about his crimes from his prison cell. Each letter was a testament to his dark pride and a chilling reminder of his lack of remorse. This is the chilling story of Keith Hunter Jesperson, better known as the Happy Face Killer, a name as chillingly ironic as the smiley faces he left on his letters to the police and media. His moniker was derived from the smiley faces he would draw on his letters, a grotesque signature that belied the horror of his actions. Behind bars, Jesperson found a captive audience, hundreds of women who, intrigued by the macabre, penned letters to the convicted killer. These women, drawn by a morbid curiosity, sought to understand the mind of a murderer. He meticulously responded to each one, his words dripping with a chilling blend of charm and chilling detachment. His letters were carefully crafted, each one a piece of his dark narrative. He wrote of love, of longing, of everyday life, a stark contrast to the monstrous acts that landed him behind bars. His letters painted a picture of normalcy that was at odds with his true nature. Jesperson's letters were a window into the mind of a killer, each word carefully chosen, each sentence crafted to shock and horrify. They were a blend of the mundane and the macabre, a chilling juxtaposition that left readers unsettled. He held nothing back, detailing his crimes with a chilling matter-of-factness that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to read them. His descriptions were vivid and unflinching, a stark reminder of the evil he was capable of. His letters weren't a cry for help, but a chilling testament to his complete lack of remorse. They were a declaration of his identity, a way for him to maintain control and instill fear even from behind bars. Jesperson wasn't a monster lurking in the shadows. He was a seemingly ordinary man, a truck driver who blended seamlessly into everyday life. His unassuming appearance and friendly demeanor made him almost invisible, a ghost in plain sight. He was the kind of person you wouldn't think twice about if you saw him at a gas station or a diner. His victims, mostly vulnerable women on the fringes of society, were drawn to his charisma, his apparent kindness, masking a horrifying darkness beneath. His charm was his most potent weapon. He used it to disarm his victims, lulling them into a false sense of security before striking. He would offer them rides, a listening ear, a promise of companionship, a lifeline in their often desperate lives. But behind his piercing blue eyes and seemingly gentle demeanor lurked a predator. His ability to compartmentalize, to separate his outward persona from the darkness within, was chillingly effective. Jesperson meticulously planned his attacks, choosing victims he believed would be easily dismissed, their disappearances unlikely to cause a stir. He studied their routines, their vulnerabilities, and struck when they least expected it. His dual nature was his greatest asset. To the world, he was a kind-hearted trucker, but in reality, he was a cold-blooded killer. The contrast between his public persona and his hidden darkness was stark and terrifying. Jesperson's ability to lead a double life, to mask his true intentions behind a facade of normalcy, made him one of the most dangerous predators. His meticulous planning and cold execution left a trail of devastation in his wake. The allure of a monster like Jesperson lies in his ability to hide in plain sight, to blend into the fabric of everyday life while harboring a terrifying secret. His story is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind the most ordinary of facades. Jesperson's calling card was as simple as it was terrifying, a smiley face. He would draw it on letters to the police, scrawled on bathroom walls, a chilling reminder of his crimes. The juxtaposition of the childlike symbol with the brutal nature of his murders added a layer of unsettling terror. The smiley face became a symbol of fear, a haunting reminder that a killer walked among them. It taunted the authorities, mocked the victims, and instilled a sense of dread in a nation grappling with the reality of a serial killer in their midst. With each new victim, The smiley face took on a more sinister meaning, becoming synonymous with Jesperson's reign of terror. It was a symbol of his power, his control, his absolute disregard for human life. When Jesperson finally confessed to his crimes, it wasn't with tears of remorse or pleas for forgiveness. It was with a chilling detachment, a matter-of-factness that sent chills down the spines of seasoned investigators. He recounted his crimes in graphic detail, his words devoid of emotion, his demeanor eerily calm. He spoke of his victims not as human beings, but as obstacles in his path, targets to be eliminated. He expressed no regret, no empathy, only a cold, calculating indifference that defied comprehension. His lack of remorse was perhaps the most terrifying aspect of his crimes. It spoke to a profound darkness within him, a void where compassion and empathy should have been. His confessions weren't a breakdown but a boast, a chilling testament to his depravity. Jesperson revelled in the attention his crimes brought him. He craved notoriety, recognition, a place in the annals of criminal history. He taunted authorities with cryptic clues, sending letters to newspapers, his words a chilling blend of confession and bravado. He engaged in a macabre game of cat and mouse with law enforcement, leading them on a twisted chase across state lines. His letters, often signed with his now infamous smiley face, became a source of both frustration and fascination. Jesperson's taunts weren't just about infamy, they were about control. He derived a sick sense of power from knowing he held the attention of law enforcement, that he could manipulate and mislead them from his prison cell. He was a master manipulator, using the media and the justice system to further his own twisted agenda. Justice finally caught up with Jesperson. He was sentenced to life in prison, his reign of terror brought to an end. But his incarceration did little to diminish his notoriety. From his prison cell, he continued to correspond with journalists, authors, and curious onlookers, his letters a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath his ordinary facade. He granted interviews, published a book, and even sold his artwork, his notoriety a source of both income and twisted satisfaction. He seemed to revel in his infamy, his crimes a macabre claim to fame. Behind bars, Jesperson remained a chilling enigma, a man capable of both great charm and unspeakable cruelty. His life sentence was a punishment, but it did little to erase the pain and suffering he inflicted on his victims and their families. What drove Jesperson to commit such horrific acts? Was it a singular event or a series of unfortunate circumstances that led him down this dark path? It's a question that has haunted investigators, psychologists, and criminologists for years. Each professional brings their own perspective, trying to piece together the puzzle of his mind. Some point to a troubled childhood, marked by abuse and neglect as the root of his darkness. These early experiences may have planted the seeds of his later violent tendencies. Others cite a potential brain injury, a physical manifestation of his inner turmoil. Such injuries can alter personality and behavior in unpredictable ways. His crimes often bore a chilling similarity. Strangulation, his preferred method, a deeply personal and intimate way to kill. This method suggests a complex psychological need. Some experts believe this points to a need for control, a desire to exert power over his victims in their final moments. This need for dominance could be a reflection of his own feelings of powerlessness. But ultimately, the answer remains elusive. The human mind is a complex and often inscrutable maze. Jesperson's psyche is a tangled web of nature and nurture, of trauma and choice. Each thread in this web contributes to the overall picture of his disturbed mind. He is a chilling reminder that monsters don't always lurk in the shadows. Sometimes they hide in plain sight, their darkness masked by a veneer of normalcy. This duality makes them all the more terrifying. The legacy of the happy-face killer extends far beyond his prison walls. His crimes left an indelible mark on the families of his victims, their lives forever altered by his brutality. Their pain is a constant reminder of the human cost of Jesperson's actions. His case also highlighted the vulnerability of women on the margins of society, those often overlooked and dismissed. It forced law enforcement to confront their own biases and shortcomings, to acknowledge the need for greater empathy and understanding in their dealings with vulnerable populations. Jesperson's story serves as a chilling reminder that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places. It underscores the importance of vigilance, of trusting our instincts, of recognizing that darkness can wear many faces. The Happy Face Killer is more than just a true crime story. It is a stark reminder of the duality of human nature. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable reality that monsters often walk among us, hidden in plain sight. It challenges our perceptions of good and evil, reminding us that darkness can lurk beneath even the most charming of facades. Jesperson's story is a cautionary tale, a haunting reminder that we must never underestimate the capacity for evil that resides within the human heart. It is a call to action, to be vigilant, to protect the vulnerable, and to never forget the victims whose lives were tragically cut short.